ngako ke emakhaya ngicela nazi ukuthi siyavula ukuthi nenze ama-application wenu on the 6th of August, and September by all means sizowenza konke okusemandleni wethu ukuthi by the end of August last week sibe sikwazi ukunibhadala. Okunye okulandelayo I think okumqoka and very important is the eligibility criteria for COVID-19 SRD grant, and it will be as follows. A social relief of distress grant of 350 per month as indicated in the directions as payable for the period indicated therein to a person who is a South African citizen, permanent resident or refugee registered on Home Affairs database, and persons who are holders of the special permits under the Special Angolan Dispensation, the Lesotho Exemption Permit Dispensation, the Zimbabwe Exemption Permit Dispensation, and asylum seekers whose Section 22 permits or visas are valid or were valid on the 15th of March 2020, currently residing within the borders of the Republic of South Africa, above the age of 18 and below the age of 60, unemployed, not receiving any social grant in respect of himself or herself, not receiving an employment insurance benefit and does not qualify to receive an employment insurance benefit, not receiving a stipend from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme and other financial aid, not receiving any other government COVID-19 response support, and not resident in a government-funded or subsidized institution. Caregivers are also who are not receiving any grant on their own behalf will also be eligible to apply for the special COVID-19 social relief of distress grant. We will remember that this was an addition that the President made when he made the announcement which he made, and everyone was looking forward to that. We will recall, of course, that the President announced the reintroduction of the special COVID-19 social relief of grant. I was not only very happy, but also very encouraged by the care and commitment that our President and his government had shown in cushioning the poorest and distress in our country, especially given the continued hardship that our people are still experiencing as a result of the ongoing pandemic and the devastating effects it is continuing to have on our country and household. I also do want to thank the Minister of Finance, Minister Tito Mboweni, and his team. I know that me and him really we log horns from time to time. We'll continue to log horns because there's got to be an appreciation of the challenges that are faced by our people. And I would like to also indicate that according to studies and research that were done and findings for the period between March and June 20, COVID-19 relief measures were estimated to have reduced the number of households with income below the food poverty line of 20.6% to 18.8%, and the reduction of inequality from 0.644 to 0.613. In addition, research confirmed that the majority recipients use the money to buy food. And we know that they use the money to buy food, the majority of them. And buying the food also means that the money that government is giving goes back into the economy because they go and purchase the most basic needs. And most of their basic needs are food and production that is done in South Africa itself. It is also important to highlight that all recipients who have not received some of their payments during the first iteration of the grant between May 2020 to April 2021 will certainly receive their payments in this new iteration. This will not affect the monies that is owed them from the first iteration. And I think the CEO of SASSA will also indicate, probably she'll even indicate from a point of view of the numbers of the people we can talk about who did not receive their money. I'm sure she can be able to deal with that. During the first iteration of the grant, almost 10 million applications were received, with just over 6 million approved for payment to the tune of 24 billion. An additional 15 billion was paid as top-ups for a period of 6 months to all grant types. We are also pleased that 100% of these applications were online or digital application, which actually quickened the entire process. We have taken note that the majority of the previous applications were paid to males between the ages of 18 to 35. And I think this data is a data that's very important, not only to the Department of Social Development and its portfolio, but this is data that is very important to the economic sector. This is a data that is important to Minister Thulas Nxesi of Employment. It's important for everybody in government because it gives us a sense exactly who are the people in the main who were losing their jobs, who are the people who almost ended up with nothing. This was due to the fact that we did not change the eligibility criteria for the 350 grant after the expiry of the caregivers grant. This resulted in a gender imbalance wherein the caregiver grant, which was accessed primarily by women, expired in October 2020, whereas the 350 grant, which was accessed by mainly males, was accessed in the dispensation and asylum seekers. The caregivers who did not really get this money, we had to make an analysis of the data from looking at who actually got the money and then look at how do we improve it, because in the main, the caregivers are usually women. In the main, it's young women or elderly women in most instances. We would like to, just a second for me. Yeah. I must acknowledge that the role of the Auditor General, which was played by the Auditor General, alerting us to some of the challenges we needed to be mindful in the implementation of this grant, and we have taken lessons from this process, which we will be utilizing in the new iteration. This is very important for us as far as the Auditor General is concerned, because we will recall that on issues of the Auditor General, we always dealt with issues after when the Auditor General gives us his report. But this time around, the Auditor General, as indicated by the President, not only in looking at ourselves who are giving grants, but also in general, we'll all remember that in issues of PPEs and all, the Auditor General is able to give us facts so that we are then able to make sure that if there are problems within, we deal with them and not after. We would like to reiterate that only those who meet the criteria and have no financial support from any source should apply for this grant. It is also important to emphasize that the previous SRD grant expired on the 30th of April 2021, and this means that all those who had previously applied must reapply. I have been getting questions and answers. Minister, we've been getting our grant. Do we really have to apply again? I want to repeat it again. Everybody has to reapply. In order to enable us to assess their eligibility, as we did every month during the previous period, and all applications will be treated as new applications every month. However, each applicant needs to apply once. Thereafter, the application will be considered. Ngiyafuna ukuthi ngiphinde la ukuthi abantu ababeyithola i-social grant yabo le i-350 yabo kuyafuneka ukuthi futhi baphinde ba-apply, ngoba abaningi babo kungenzeka ukuthi sebaphindela emisebenzini. Ngakho ke le mali esiyikhiphayo siyikhiphela abantu abangasebenzi. Bekusikwenza ke lokhu even sisaqala, abantu bangabe bese bethi yini manje sesishintshile. Asishintshanga lutho. even na before besi make sure ukuthi siyabuyela kwi-account yakho, siyabuyela kwi-data, siphinde si-check ukuthi akukho na la uthola khona imali. Ngendlela esisebenza ngayo sisebenzela ukuthi wonke umuntu azi ukuthi le mali yiyalabo abalahlekelwe yimisebenzi, yilabo abangasebenzi. Abasebenzayo siyabacela ukuthi banga-apply. There will be no retrospective payment for the months the grant was not in existence from May to July 2021. Umbuzo omunye ke bebelokhu bewubuza bathi ngoba ke upresident seka announceile sesizovele siqhubeke from kudala na ukuze sithole imali from the time yaphela ngakhona i350. Asibuyeli emuva, siqala la ngo-August, masiqala ngo-August siqalela phansi sinikeza lo 350. The new application will only be effective from August 2021. The applications shall be considered from the month of application and paid up to the 31st March 2022. Mona rere chelete itlotswa from August 2021 ifele ka the 31st March 2022, provided the qualifying criteria continues to be met. This requirement will be confirmed through the monthly validation of every application. It is important to note that there will be no automatic qualification. All applications must certify the criteria and will be subjected to the entire validation process. And ngiyazi ke ukuthi during lesikhathi lesi sokuthi si-check ukuthi abantu abasebenzi, abantu abekho kwamanye ama-grant akhishwa uhulumende, kunokwenzeka ukuthi ezinye izinto zidelay, kodwa ke ngoba sesifundile from the previous one, ngicabanga ukuthi asizuba nawo lawo ma-problem ebesinawo before. Ngicela ke futhi ningivumele to explain why it is important for people to reapply. Le eyokuthi abantu ba reapply important ngoba khumbulani from the very beginning masaqala ngo2020 siye sathi nathi Department ye Social Development no CEO weSASSA nabo bonke kuyafuneka ukuthi sibe accountable kule mali, sibe accountable na ku treasury ukuthi i-treasury mayisinikeze le mali sisho sithi sinikeze abantu aba right leyo mali. Firstly, that people's circumstances may have changed over time. Secondly, in order to confirm clients' personal details and assess their income and financial status. Thirdly, applicants need to accept the declaration and consent which has been strengthened to comply with the Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA, which came into effect on the 21st of July 2021, and in order to access or to have applications reconsidered for social relief of distress, an applicant must grant consent for SASSA to verify his or her identity, residence, income, or social security benefits with any other institutions deemed necessary by SASSA. We have implemented some system improvements to enable us to better serve the applicants and speed up the verification and payment turnaround time. This is very important. Our new process will now request the applicants to provide their banking details upfront so that we can process payment as soon as they meet the criteria. Lapha ke sithi ke kuqala besingaceli i-banking account, sesiyacela ukuthi abantu bafake i-banking account okuzowenza ukuthi sikwazi ukubhadala imali much faster than besiyenza before. This will help address the challenges we faced in the past where some applicants took long to respond to our request for banking details, which led to delays in processing their payments. Noting that COVID-19 is still very much upon us, we will continue with measures to limit face-to-face interactions, to manage social distancing, and use the frontline application system, which has proven to be successful during the initial implementation of this grant. All applications will therefore be again done electronically, as we did before, digitally, and any of the following frontline application channels may be used. Firstly, through the website, which is srd.gov.za, www.sasa.gov.za, through our WhatsApp line, which is 082 046 8553. Additional application channels will be added shortly. An announcement will be made in due course. And we're saying will be made shortly because we want to really give people correct information so that when they try and apply, they don't come back again and say they can't get through. Please note that an application should be submitted through only one of the above channels. Siyanicela ningathi man applya nisebenzise website, phinde nisebenzise WhatsApp, phinde nisebenzise okunye ngoba niyasiconfusa, niconfusa le system esizama ukuthi kube yiyo encedayo. Ra khupela he go release ka user all these three eri fang tsone. This ka user website, li use WhatsApp, li use any other, only to find hore this information ya crisscrossa no ayisa khona hore iri talk to each other. Please note, as I said, it is not necessary to submit multiple applications. Confirmation will be received as soon as the application has been successfully submitted. For all other queries, applicants may contact our call center, which is 0800 60 1011, or email grantenquiries@sasa.gov.za. We encourage all applicants to conclude their applications when they start making applications to avoid technical challenges. Here, we have a problem all the time. Most of us don't want to fill up forms, especially when the forms are very long. And then we apply, we send, and then we find that half the information is not there. Ayizusebenzela leyo ngoba again iconfusa isystem yethu. Isicelo sethu ukuthi yiba nepatience. Mangabe u-applya through the website ube nepatience. Mangabe u-applya nge-WhatsApp mabe kubuza imibuzo, ngicela ukuthi leyo mibuzo uyiphendule kahle ngoba ma uyiphendula kahle wenzela ukuthi application yakho ihambe faster. With regards to payments of special COVID grant, SRD grant, SASSA shall pay the special COVID grant into a bank account of the beneficiary. With applicants who are unbanked or do not have bank accounts, SASSA will pay through SAPO, Postbank, or bank mobile transfer, that is the cash send. Ngiyazi ukuthi abaningi bazobuza ke lo mbuzo ukuthi hey nali iposi futhi nisiphindisela eposini. Siyakhulumisana neposi, siyazama ngako konke okukhona kusemandleni wethu ukuthi izinto zilunge emaposini. Kodwa ngifuna ukusho ke ukuthi nalapho emaposini esikhathini esiningi asinabo abantu abaningi abasebenza ngaphakathi eposini because of COVID-19. We are operating at less the number of people that we normally have. It is important for applicants to note that the bank account or the cellular phone number provided for payment must be registered in the name of the approved application for the grant to ensure that payment goes to the correct recipient. We also appeal to all applicants to provide information on a bank account through which they can be paid so that we can reduce the long queues at the post office branches and improve convenience to our clients and reduce the risk of spread of COVID-19. It is also important for every applicant to provide the correct mobile number through which he/she can be contacted, as all communication with applicants will be through SMS notification. SASSA and the South African Post Office have been hard at work adding additional channels through which approved applicants can access their funds to reduce the queues at the post office. This will include access to the funds through participating merchants and ATMs. Further information will be provided in the course of the coming days in this regard. Clients who previously cancelled the grant who would like to reactivate the grant due to a change in their circumstances are welcome to reapply. We are very conscious of the fact that bakhona abantu abanonembeza, in fact, ababuya bathi bona sebayasebenza sebewutholile umsebenzi kodwa ke mangabe kuyenzeka ukuthi babuyela emsebenzini baphindwe bayekiswa futhi emsebenzini sifuna ukubazisa ukuthi banga apply kodwa bahlale bazi ukuthi sizochecka futhi the same way esasicheckile kudala. Any applicant whose grant is not approved has the right to request that the decision not to award the grant be considered through appeals process. Baningi abayaziyo ukuthi yayikhona i-appeals process. Le appeals process yiyo le eyenze ukuthi noma sesiyekile ukubhadala le SRD yokuqala esasenzile saqhubeka ngoba bathe mabenza ama-appeal wabo awina kwatholakala ukuthi ke mabayithole imali yabo. Namanje sizosebenzisa yona the same process ukuthi mangabe awuvunyelanga udeclineiwe cela ubuye usebenzise i-appeals process. The decline will only be reconsidered upon a request from the client. An application has to be lodged on the website within 30 days of the outcome being available. It is therefore really important that applicants check their status all the time, which is updated on the website as soon as a decision has been made. An appeal must be lodged for every month that the grant is declined. I want to once again reiterate that this grant is for people who are under distress. We have in the past year established that there were public servants, business people, and children from financially comfortable families who applied for the grant. I really want to plead with members of the public and of course those who are working in government and all. If you do not need this money, please do not qualify because there are other people who are in a worse situation than yourself. We will continue to monitor any fraudulent activity, and SASSA will implement measures to recover every cent from those who benefited wrongly and will refer this matter to the law enforcement agencies for further action and possible arrest. With respect to the previous special COVID-19 grant beneficiaries paid during the period of 01 on May 2020 to 30 April 2021, outstanding payments are in the region of 45,414 transactions from applicants whose applications were approved but not paid because they could not be traced or they did not contact SASSA to update their personal detail. A total of 571,724 grants which have been approved remain uncollected from the post office, and I urge all applicants who have not received or claimed their grants to urgently contact SASSA, as they will only have until the 31st of August 2021 to make inquiries in respect of the previous grant from May 20 to April 2021. I also wish to urge these who have not withdrawn their payments to do so before the 31st of August 2021, because ke labo abangayilandanga imali yabo sesizoyithatha leyo mali siyiphindisele kwa treasury. Umthetho usho njalo ukuthi senze njalo. If awilandanga imali yakho until the 31st of August 2021 isikulahlekele ke leyo mali ngoba bakhona abanye abantu abayifunayo leyo mali. Mona ke kopa go tlhalosa gore ba ne ba applyile ene ba sa ilata tšhelete ya bone ba be ba ithotse information ya gore ba tshwanetse gore ba ilate tšhelete ya bona. If ba sa ilata tšhelete by the 31st of August 2021 ba ka se kgone go ithola tšhelete eo anymore. Any applicant whose application was approved but not paid because the applicant could not be traced or the applicant did not contact SASSA to update his or her personal details shall forfeit the money to the state after the 31st of August 2021. And I'm sure ukuthi uMinister Mboweni uyayifuna yonke le mali engathathwanga ngoba kukhona la ifuneka khona endaweni eziningi. Yesterday was the start of August pay run with payments to older persons, and payments went well across the country. We thank our stakeholders, particularly the banks and the retail sector, for their support in supporting us here. I am aware that there were some challenges somewhere in KZN. I did get calls from people, and I passed over the calls to the CEO, and the CEO did follow those up. I'm hoping that those challenges that were raised with me yesterday were sorted out. So the National Department, together with the provinces, are working hard with SASSA and the affected provinces to repair and reinstate some of the affected services so that we can rebuild and recover what was lost. In addition, we have been working closely with other government departments and civil society organizations, private sector, as well as Solidarity Fund to provide food for the most affected households. At this point, I really actually do want to thank the Solidarity Fund for reaching out to us and wanting to work with us. We've worked very well with us because the Department of Social Development, together with SASSA, we've got very good infrastructure for distribution of food. We've got good infrastructure even in terms of our homes where we keep some of the most vulnerable, and therefore we thank Solidarity Fund. We will continue to work with them. Essentially, our intervention as DSD portfolio in these two provinces was about restoring and providing services to our people in affected areas, providing food relief through our social relief of distress mechanism, and within available means, both at provincial departments and at SASSA, whether through cash, food parcel, and food vouchers. This is what the government has done immediately after realizing the challenges that we were facing. We stepped up. We made sure that we use our existing systems to make sure that we reach out to those that were affected. We are very much aware that some were not reached, but we're still working. We'll make sure that we reach as many as we possibly can. I also want to indicate that as a department, we are responsible for providing psychosocial support to affected families as well as support to affected children. And in this regard, we have also elevated our real-time monitoring tool to include the effects of children during the unrest, linked to our rapid impact assessment, which we have employed, and working with relevant departments and structures, including the interfaith community, NGOs, community leaders, and the NDA. We are working hard towards social mobilization, rebuilding and creating sustainable livelihoods through our efforts to address issues of social cohesion and social behavioral change. It's important for us ukuthi sibonge osomabhizinisi amakhulu, sibonge ama-NGOs, sibonge bonke aba closer to the community who have taken their time to say, we are going through this tough time, but we shall rise as a nation, and we can only do that if we work together. Just with regards to other directions affecting the social development sector under alert level 3, visitations at older persons' residential facilities are now permitted with strict adherence to COVID-19 measures, and sitting and eating at community nutrition development centers is now allowed also under strict adherence to COVID-19 measures. We know very well the importance of our community nutrition development centers. These are places where children, for instance, before going to school, they pass through there and they have their first meal. Even after school, they come back here and they have a meal before going back home. Lastly, I wish to encourage all those who are eligible, including those who benefited before and are still in need to apply as from the 6th August 2021 onwards. The rapid assessment study that we conducted found that around 88% of recipients of the special COVID-19 SRD grant pooled the grant with their household incomes to take care of the needs of everyone in the household. I wish to encourage households to continue to do this so that we can extend the reach to our grant to reduce poverty and even support other initiatives such as job searches, livelihoods, and small business strategies. I also do want at this point in time to actually thank those young people who decided that 350 was something that they could start something with. 350 rands was something that they could pull first month and second month, and I'm sure baye babopha izisu ukuthi bangajaheli ukuyothenga izinto abangazinidi ukuze bakwazi uqala amabhizinisi. Sizothola isikhathi sokuthi sibavakashele labo abaqala amabhizinisi. Sizothola isikhathi sokuthi sisebenzisane futhi no Minister we Small Business Development ne Department ye Small Business Development, because ayikho into edlula ukuthi umuntu akwazi ukuzimela. Mina nje ngimela ngiyazi ukuthi sikhuluma ngo350, but ngiyazi ukuthi the majority of South Africans do want to wake up in the morning and go to a job. The majority of South Africans do want to wake up in the morning and be able to do something that improves their livelihoods. So any story out there that makes us feel like we are just taking the money and we are spending the money on people who do not use it properly is falsehoods. The fact of the matter is that our people are struggling. The fact of the matter is that there are no jobs. It's very difficult for people to look for jobs. The fact of the matter is that those who are unable to help themselves, it is our responsibility, which is enshrined in the Constitution, to help those so that they can be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Thank you very much.